Hello all. In this video, we are going to see more about a Google Compute Engine disk and a disk snapshot. So let's go to Google Compute Engine page and we'll perform a live demo on a GC disk and a disk snapshot. So first of all, I'll create one sample machine, the Linux machine. So when we say a disk, so disk consists of two types. One is a boot disk and another is a non-boot disk. So non-boot disk, we can say a data disk, and a boot disk is the disk which contains the OS of the machine. So I'll create new instance. So whenever we are creating the new instance, it will create a boot disk along with a OS image. So I'll create a first instance, suppose a test instance. I'll select a central one zone because I am already creating or created my VPC in US central one region, so I'll be using the same region. So now here you could see the boot disk, and each instance require a disk to boot from. Select an image or a snapshot to create a new boot disk. So here we can change OS image and a disk size, but for every VM instance we need a boot disk. So I'm keeping this as a default and I'm using the same boot disk, and I'm creating a VM. So once VM is creating, I'm going to log in the VM using my cloud shell. So it will ask me to authorize. Okay, so the instance is created, my instance is test. So I'm going to log in using gcloud compute SSH VM name zone. I'll give as a US Central 1 hyphen A. So it will log in into my VM. Okay, so I am logged in into my VM. I'll just use a sudo login. Okay, so I am inside my newly created VM. So let's see what are the disk attached to my VM. So if you go to a disk storage option in disk, so here you could see all the available disk in your project. So here you could see there are disk. So this is a boot disk. So boot disk will always have the same name as your VM, and it is attached to the test instance. This my capture is again a boot disk which is attached to my capture VM instance. This a test data is a data disk and is not attached to any of the instance. So for now I am just deleting these two disk because I am not using this. So if you go to VM and just check the file system, so here it will show a boot disk of size 9.7 GB, and there are no other additional data disk. So this suppose if I am using my application to run on a Linux system, then this 10 GB is a very less memory or like a less storage. So I want to add a more storage. So how I can add? So I can add additional disk to my Linux VM. So let's see how we can create additional disk and attach to our VM. So from disk I'll just create a disk, and I'll just give the name as a test data because I want this disk as a non-boot disk and I will be using this to store my data. Okay, and the region I will choose as US Central 1. So the disk and VM instance should be in a same zone to attach. If it is a single zone disk or if it is a regional zone, then we can give the replica zone. So I'm giving it as a regional, and I am creating a blank disk and size I'll keep it as a 20 GB. So currently I am not going to create any snapshot schedule, so I'll just disable. I'm going to explain more about a snapshot and snapshot schedule later. So I'll just create a disk, and once disk is created, we are going to attach this test data disk to our VM instance. Okay, so this test data is created. Now we'll see how we can attach this disk to our VM instance. So you can correlate it as your hard disk of your laptop. Like suppose your laptop is having 500 GB of a hard disk and it's like a full, then you can add additional hard disk to your laptop and you can remove that also, and you can then attach it to another laptop. So it's the same way we can use a disk as like a removable, we can say, a block storage. So now I want to attach the disk, newly created disk, to my test VM. So I'll go and I'll edit and I'll attach additional disk. So if you scroll down, you will see the option to attach additional disk. So here you have two options: add a new disk or attach existing. As we already created a disk, I will attach a existing disk. So here it will show all the disk available in zone 1 or in the zone where your VM instance is available. So now it will show a test data. So now here you could see there are a mode. So we want a disk to be in a read write mode or a read only. So if I am going to use for my data storage, I will be use is a read write, and here is a flag a keep disk, means like if we are deleting the VM, then we need to mention here we want the disk to be retained or we want to delete the disk. So we want the disk. I'll mentioning here as a keep disk and I'll click on a save. So I'll save the configuration of my VM, and so currently here you could see there is only one disk attached, that is dev sd a1, no other disk attached to VM. I'll just run ls block. Now here you could see this 20 GB disk is attached to my VM now, but if we run the file system, it will not show here because the disk is only attached and it's not yet mounted with our file system. So how we can mount? So there are set of commands we need to run to mount to our file system. So I'll just mount it. So first we need to format our disk. I'm just give my disk name here. These are steps you will find in Google documentation. Okay, now I'll just create one directory. It's called data, and I'll mount my file system on that data directory. And my device name is SDB. Okay, now I'll run df-h. Yes, now you could see that 20 GB space is added with a data file system. Okay, now I'll go inside my data. Okay, nothing is here. Now I'll just download a sample file from internet. So I'll just download file from suppose this. So I'll just download this 1 GB of file to my disk. or my VM instance. So I need to first check if wget is present. Okay, wget is not available, so let me install wget. Okay, so wget is being installed and wget is installed now. Now let me download a 1 GB test file. So it will take a minute to download this test file to my disk on my VM instance, and then we'll again check the size of our disk. So file is being downloaded. We'll wait for 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, so file is downloaded. We'll check the size now. Okay, now you could see out of 20 GB, 1.1 GB is used and 19 GB is available. Now earlier it was showing only 1% used, but now it is showing a 6% used. So now I have a data 1 GB of data on my disk. Now we'll see how we can take a backup of the disk. Now suppose I want to perform some activity on my VM instance and I want to take a backup of the disk, or like I want this disk backup, or like I want this disk data to be restored in another zone. So how we can do that? So in this way the snapshot concept comes to the picture. So snapshot is, sorry, I wrongly muted myself. So snapshot is an incremental backup of the disk which capture the current state of the disk data. So you can correlate that snapshot with your screenshot. So what screenshot does, it just capture the current state of your screen. It's a static. So the same way we can take a snapshot of our disk. So now we'll see how we can create a snapshot of our disk. So there are multiple snapshots already being used in my current project. So I'm just creating a new snapshot for our test data disk. So snapshot name, I'll just give test data 1. The source disk I'll give as a test data. Now here you can choose a regional or a multi-regional. So I am using it as a multi-regional, and I'll create a snapshot. So always remember, a snapshot is an incremental backup. So whenever we are taking the snapshot for the first time, it will contain a full backup of the disk. So currently the size of my disk was around 1.1 GB. So the first snapshot size will be around 1.1 GB. It will not be exact and it will contain the compressed data. So it will be around a 1.1 GB of this size. So the first snapshot, or like suppose a first successful snapshot, will always have a full backup of the disk at that a moment. So as it is a full backup, it's taking time. So I'll pause my video for a second. Yes, this snapshot is completed. I'll open it. So here you could see the snapshot name is snapshot like test data 1. Source disk is a test data. The disk size is 20 GB, but a snapshot size the 1 GB, which is of a data size. Okay. Now let me add some more data to my VM instance or like to the disk. So I'll just go here and now I will add a 500 MB of file to my disk. So it will download this 500 MB of the file. So once this file is downloaded, my complete disk size will be 1 GB plus 500 MB. It should be 1.5 GB. And again, we'll take a snapshot 2 to check the snapshot size again. Okay, so let's check the file system size again. Okay, now here you could see used is 1.6 GB and percent use is 8 GB. So I will take the snapshot again. So earlier the disk size was 1 GB and the snapshot size was also 1 GB. Now the disk size is 1.6 GB. We'll take a snapshot and see what will be the disk size again, or sorry, snapshot size again. So I'll create snapshot again. I'll give the name as a snapshot like test data 2. Now it will not allow us until unless we choose a disk. Now we'll create a snapshot again. So snapshot is being created. Okay, this snapshot is created now. Now let me open the snapshot. Okay, so you could see the source disk is a test data. This size is a 20 GB and snapshot size you could see now is a 512.6 MB. So let's go again back to the snapshot list. I'll just keep it as test for our reference. So we'll only filter the snapshot we need. Okay. Now here you could see the test data snapshot, which was the initial snapshot, contains 1 GB of the size. After that we added a 500 MB and then the complete size was 1.5 GB. But as I said, the snapshot are incremental backup, means the snapshot 2 will have only a data which is not available in a snapshot 1, like it will only capture the change in the data from the last snapshot. So only the 512 MB data was added, so the second snapshot only took 512 MB of data. So in this way this incremental backup works for the snapshots. Now suppose I will delete a test data to snapshot. I will see what will happen. So we deleted the latest snapshot. Okay, and that 512 MB has gone. Now Let me create a snapshot again. This data 2. Let me create. Okay, the snapshot is created and it contains a 512 MB of data. Now suppose we want to restore this data into another zone or like another region in a US. So I will create a one VM now, and I want to create this VM in not in US Central 1. I will be creating that VM in US West 4. So let me create a VM in US West 4. So I'll just give the name as a TS US West 4, and I'll create my VM. Okay, so the boot disk I kept as a default, and I want to add a data disk with a data from my test VM. So it just like I want to change the zone of my VM or a region of my VM, but I don't want my data to be lost. So I want all this data from the test VM to be available in my test US West 4 VM. So how we can do that? So let me create one more session here, and okay, sorry, it's multiple tabs open, and now I'll just log in gcloud compute ssh test us west 4 hyphen zone. Okay, so let me confirm the zone. Okay, it's B. I used A. Okay, so I'm logged in. Let me log in using sudo. Okay, let me check the df-h. So it's currently having only the boot disk. Now I want to attach additional disk from my backup disk of a test VM. So how I can attach that? So I'll go to test US West 4 VM. I'll click on edit, and we'll see if I have any additional disk available for attach. Okay, attach existing disk. Now we'll see if anything. So here nothing, because what it will say, no attachable disk in US West 4B. So what I will do, I'll create new disk from my snapshot. Now the lot of people get confused here, because now our test data 1 snapshot consists of 1 GB of snapshot, and the test data 2 consists of 500 MB of snapshot. Now I want to restore, then which snapshot I should be restoring? So you should always restore the latest snapshot, even though it consists of 500 MB of data, but when we restore, it will restore complete 1.5 GB of data, which means it restore all the data of its previous snapshot instances. So let's see. So this is a 512 MB of snapshot only, and I am going to restore that. So I am just going to create a new disk from this snapshot, and I am going to create the disk in US West 4, because my instance is in US West 4. I am using the zone B. The name I just give as a test US West 4 data, and here it will ask a disk source type is a snapshot, and snows a source a snapshot. We need to select from the list. So the latest snapshot I will choose this data 2, Now the new disk size you can give whatever you want, so I am keeping it as 20 GB only, and I'll create. So the disk is being created from our snapshot, and it should contain all the data which was available in the test data disk. So the meanwhile disk is being created, I'll again go to VM instance and I'll open my new instance to attach a disk. So I'll open, I'll click on edit, and I'll attach existing disk. Now it should show a disk. Yes, disk is here. I'll attach and save. Now one important point is here, when we attach a new disk to our earlier VM, we had to perform few manual operation to boot or like to mount a disk, and then it was available. So dev sdb and this data was available only after we mounted that. But in this new case, like when we are using a snapshot to create a disk, let's see how it works. So I'm again doing the df-h. Okay, let's wait. Snapshot like disk is being attached. Yes, we could see we attached the disk. Now we'll just mount the disk to a folder. Okay, so just give me here sdb. Okay, now we'll see. Okay, now we could see the data folder. It's 8 GB. We'll see the content. Okay, now here you could see this 1 GB file is available in new VM. This 500 MB file is available in new VM. Let's go back and see the data in our old VM. Yes, so we have same set of data available. So in this way, using a disk snapshot, we restore the data from one zone to another zone. We restore data from one region to another region, and we can store a backup of the data using the disk snapshot. Now, one more thing is like suppose when we have a multiple snapshot which contains only the incremental data, what will happen if we delete the snapshot? So let's check. If we delete the snapshot, now I'll just going to delete my original snapshot which contains a full backup is 1 GB, and the second snapshot contains 512 MB. So let's see if I delete my first snapshot, what will happen. So this should delete complete 1 GB of data backup. Now we only see, now the size of the snapshot 2 becomes 1.5 GB. So this is a best feature of a snapshot. Whenever we are deleting any previous snapshot, so before deleting it just transfer his data to the next snapshot and then only it gets deleted. So if we are deleting the snapshot backups, it will not lose any data. It will just transfer his data to next snapshot. So now this backup strategy will be used using a snapshot schedule. Now I have a VM. Now I don't want to keep this snapshot manually, so I can create a snapshot schedule. So we'll see how we can create a snapshot schedule. So just go here and create a snapshot schedule. So I will just create a test region. I will keep US Central 1. I want a snapshot to be taken at a daily 7 to 8 a.m. UTC. Auto delete snapshot after. You can give 3, 4, 4, like 14, whatever you want, and then you can create a schedule. So it just you are creating a schedule. You are not scheduling any snapshot yet. So now, so you can go to test data and you can go to create snapshot. Sorry, you can go to snapshot. You can go to snapshot schedule. You will see the test schedule which I already created, and in this you can see if it is being added to any disk. It's none. So this snapshot schedule is not being used by any disk. So when you click on create snapshot, you can give the disk test data and you can select the snapshot schedule for your disk. You can go to disk and then you can edit. Now here you can attach a snapshot schedule. So I'm just going to attach a test schedule and I'll click on save. So it will schedule a snapshot daily at this time. So currently it is not possible to show you this snapshot and it will take a snapshot, but I can show you my existing schedule snapshot. So I had scheduled snapshot for my capture disk and you could see the snapshot time. So it takes a snapshot daily at this time 9:24 a.m. UTC. So this was the first snapshot. It contains the size 2.5 GB. Then next day it has 1.69 GB. The next day it has again incremental data only, and then it's having the data in MB because it's only a incremental data. So if I want to delete these three snapshot, then it will transfer data to this snapshot. Now just monitor here the May 27 snapshot data size in 113 MB. Now I'm just going to delete my these three snapshot and will monitor the size of next snapshot. Now these snapshots like scheduled snapshot will also have a naming convention. So naming convention always start with a disk name, then region. Okay, now so here you could see earlier the size was 113 MB for May 27. Now it's completely changed to 5 GB. Now let me again delete these two and we'll monitor the size of 132.6. So May 29 having size of 132. Okay, so now it's only contains incremental data and it has almost data, so its size is again changed to 4.9 GB. So in this way, the snapshot works in incremental manner and we can restore the latest snapshot always. So that's it for disk and snapshot. Let me know if you have any queries or concern regarding the snapshot or restore operation. I'll try to help you out. Thank you for watching the video.